Okay, so we made it up through, and make sure you check out part 1 if you haven't seen part 2. So made it through up to the glues that I use. So once everything's glued, then I also glue it to basings. So I base all the pieces in foam board. So this stuff comes in I think it's like a 2 foot by 4 foot or 2 foot by 3 foot sheet. I get it at Walmart. It's really, really cheap there. You have to watch out because there are different qualities. So let me show you. I'm always on a constant lookout for cheaper materials. Sometimes that doesn't work out. So you'll notice that this has a layer of paper, then a really nice dense foam in the middle, and then another layer of paper on the bottom. This stuff is awesome. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. You can use it for construction, for basing, for all kinds of stuff. So really, really handy. I think it's like $2.88 for that sheet at Walmart. A lot more than that at Hobby Lobby. And I found this stuff at the dollar store. So you see this is a paper backing, but then in the middle it's a very, very low density, very low quality foam, and I couldn't tell that until I got it back to the house because I found this at the dollar store for $1 a sheet for the exact same size sheet. But this stuff is not substantial at all, so you can see it just tears. If it gets wet at all, as in paint, it wrinkles up like paper with water on it, so just really low quality stuff. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're shopping for supplies. It's good to always try to save on the per unit price of your supplies because it does add up quickly. So if you, like my 46-piece dungeon set, there's hundreds of tiles, there's dozens of pieces of foam board, there's probably about, I probably used about 4 ounces of glue on that. Probably use less in the next set now that I know exactly how much it takes. But the stuff adds up pretty quickly, so you just want to make sure that you're keep the cost down as much as you can. I mentioned it earlier about my digital scale. I got this digital scale at Walmart. It was $20 and works really, really well. You're able to tear, so you're able to put the cup on there or the measuring cup, tear it back to 0, and then measure everything really well. And it's worked perfectly. And then I also use this little $3 timer that I picked up at Walmart. So really, really good stuff. And then as far as gluing the pieces, one other thing, I did build my own jig. I have a little shop where I have a lot of hobbies, so I have a little shop, and picked up some wood and built this jig. So this allows me to build my pieces. I can put a floor piece in here, put that up in the corner, and then I'm able to put my wall pieces in here. So if I'm building those individually, I'm able to put my wall pieces in there, square that all up, get it glued all together. So there you go. So that's how I built those pieces. And I made it pretty long, so I'm able to do 3 or 4 wall pieces at one time without having to reset the jig at all. And I just made sure that that's a perfect 90 degree there. Very easy to make. Supply-wise, it was probably $3 worth of wood. And honestly, I just had it laying around with just some extra wood. But very, very easy to make. And then when it comes to painting, this has been trial and error for me. I would love any feedback on this process because it really has been where I've spent the most time as far as trial and error. Started out with a Walmart spray paint. Absolute crap. I couldn't stand it. It was inconsistent. Sometimes it was flat, sometimes it was gloss, even though it all said flat or matte. Sometimes it was light gray, sometimes it was dark gray, sometimes it was completely black, and then sometimes it ran really easily. It was completely inconsistent. So what I ended up doing was going to Home Depot and getting this quick color, and it's a flat black. You have to watch because there's a gloss and a matte, and they're not labeled on the packaging. So the only difference is the lid. So there's a shiny lid, and this is the flat lid, so no reflection on that. And I actually bought 2 cases of this because it works really well. It's 97 cents versus the 98 or 99 cents at Walmart, so you save a couple of pennies per can. It lasts twice as long, so that's a big number to keep in mind. It lasts, for me, it's been lasting about twice as long, and so I'm able to black base or black coat every single piece very, very quickly. This also dries extremely fast without the tackiness that the Walmart brand has. So I'm sure you can get this other places, and I'm sure there's other equivalents to it, but this was a big pain for me because I had to repaint everything basically when I started with one and ended the set with the other one. And actually I was so satisfied with this that I went back and recoat everything with this so that everything was the same. I also mispainted a couple of pieces, and this I was able to run out completely paint over the acrylics. You lose a little bit of detail that way because you fill in some of the cracks with paint. But I was able to paint over where I had done with the acrylics and start over with the piece and save the piece. And dry time was about 5 minutes between. So I would do one coat, let it dry, one coat from the other direction, let it dry. So in 10 minutes, I was able to get the piece back on the painting table. As far as paints, I've got all these. I've got 2 of these full of paints that I've been trying out. I've also got one of these that's full of the big containers of paint. I also have, and a lot of this paint I had from before, so I didn't go out and buy all of this. I've got the glow-in-the-dark paint, which is really, really cool for some details. Dungeon Master Mark has used that for some really cool stuff, so check out his videos for how to use that. So this is something I really like some feedback from you guys and see what paints you use to dry brush often. So I use, so far, what I've used for my dark gray, I use dark gray, light gray, and then a highlight color. So for my dark gray, I actually use this one. So it is the 11043, 11043 Anita's Gray. So all these are Anita's brand. So Anita's 11043 just gray. It's pretty dark. 12004 is the next coat that I use, Antique Nickel, which is considerably lighter. The thing is, look at these bottles. So they're extremely close in color. Until you actually, what I've done is I actually take the paint and I rub it on top of here. So as soon as I get it, so you can see all these have the color on top. I learned this pretty quick. So take the paint. This is a brand new bottle from the store. Open it up, squeeze it up to the top where you've got some paint there. Dab it, scrape it off. So you've got some paint there, let that dry, and that gives you the actual color. And since I am painting everything when it's been black base first, then I get a really good representation of what the paint's going to look like dried on a black surface. One thing I learned really quickly, the difference between charcoal and gray. Charcoal has a lot of blue in it. So this is the, let's see, where's the gray? So this is the gray, which has green in it, and this is charcoal, which has blue in it. Why that is, I don't know. I am a graphic artist by trade, but the coloring system I don't understand on these paints. So charcoal has a lot of blue in it, and so your pieces will actually have a blue tint to them, whereas I like a little bit of a green tint, and so I like just the standard gray. So that's my 2 base coat colors, and then for highlight, I'm torn. So I like white, if you know how to dry brush really, really well and you're able to get a really light coat. I also like this apple barrel khaki. So it's this color. It's like a very, very, very light brown. I also like this olive green 11119, so 11119 from Anita's. Very, very light moss green. It's called olive green. And then another color I've been playing around with for a base coat is melted chocolate from Apple Barrel, just to get a different effect. So I'd really like to hear from you guys and see what color specifically you use for your dry brushing process. Some people use 3 colors, some people use 2 colors, some people use 7 colors. So anyway, I'm very interested in what you guys use for that. I've tried lots and lots of different color combinations. As far as brushes, I have tried lots of different brushes as well. What I keep coming back to are these Indonesian brushes that you can get at Home Depot. They're made in Indonesia and they're called the 1500, and they're 97 cents. So I've used these lots of different times. They're holding up pretty well. The thing is, with dry brushing, you're going to tear up whatever brush it is that you're using. So I just bought a whole case of these. They're just a 1-inch 1500 Home Depot. They're 97 cents each, and I've used these for this whole set. They all wore pretty evenly. And what I tend to use is one brush per color, so that I don't get cross-contamination. And then you can see where I use my paper plate. I just use a paper plate. I put a very small amount on there, brush on a paintbrush or on a paper towel, and that's it. Oh, paper towels. So this is something you're going to use a lot of. I realized day 2, you're going to use a ton of paper towels. I was using like the Scott Viva, really high quality quilted paper towels, and I realized really quickly that wasn't going to do. So these are like, you get an 8-pack for $6 or something like that at a dollar store. So very, very cheap. But the thing with paper towels is, it doesn't really matter as long as they soak up extra plaster or water and then soak up paint. that's all that matters. So it doesn't matter really the quality that I found. So cheap works just as much as the $3 a roll. So let's see. As far as containing everything, I love these Sterilite containers. So again, another Walmart find. They have them at Hobby Lobby, but they're almost twice as much. Seems to be a theme there with Hobby Lobby. But I keep everything in these. They have lots of different sizes. They have a 6-quart, 12-quart, 15-quart, 3-quart, 1-quart, and even partial quarts. And they snap on really well. So the top goes on here, and then it snaps shut. And I've used these. I've opened and closed these things hundreds of times, and haven't lost any quality or any hold from those. So it works out really, really well. And let's see. The one other thing I wanted to mention was the, or actually two things. Whenever I'm actually pouring everything, there are two things that I've found that I really, really feel like I have to have. So this is a silicone baking mat. It is 12 by 18, and every time I cast, I put my molds on this, rake off the excess with a trowel, which plastic and metal works much, much better than plastic, I've found. And I don't know why. Maybe somebody can explain that. But the plastic just didn't seem to work as well. The metal was much more efficient at getting stuff off. But I can set my molds on this, and then any excess that I have, I'm able to scrape it up very, very easily and put it back into the molds so that I don't waste a lot. So I scrape off the excess. If there's any bubbles or anything, deal with those. And then if I accidentally scrape off too much, I'm able to scrape it right off of this and put it right back into the mold. Whereas with other plastics and stuff like that, you don't get a very, very smooth surface. And then when it dries in the silicone, you literally just shake it and all of it pops off. And I've been saving. Here's my metal trowel. So here's my metal trowel that I use. And then I've got all these extra bits. So that's actually the extra that's left over when I rake off the top. I let it dry. I pop it off the silicone into that box. And then I'm assembling those as kind of piles of rubble. So I'm trying not to waste anything at all. I think that covers everything, just a general overall. To give you an idea of what I've spent, it was $75 for 50 pounds of plaster, which is lasting a long time. The paint, about 50 cents a bottle. The molds are generally $29 to $34 a piece. The custom molds, you can make about 6 custom molds out of a bottle of Umu, which is Umu 30, which is $30. So those are really, really cheap. And then, so this is, if anybody's wondering, this is the one of the faces from that mold. This is the raw, what we get when we pop it out of the mold. And there's a little beard that goes in here that completes the piece, so that's a hidden door actually. And I'll show you some more about this and how to make it. And then, let's see, the foam board, $3 a sheet. I haven't even used 2 full sheets yet. There's the water, there's the, which is free, the paper towels, about $1 a roll. Spray paint, 97 cents a can. The glue, this is $3 or $4.99. These small bottles are $1.99 and $2.99 for the clear. Yeah, so I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but you get the idea. I mean, just to get started, if you got a small amount of plaster and 1 mold, you could get started for like $50. And you can make a lot of stuff for that $50. So yeah. So if you like the videos, please give me a like down below. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to see more of these videos, I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate everything that I've gotten from the community. So just trying to give back to the community a little bit so that you guys can see as I grow in my skill, you can follow along with me. So really, really appreciate it. And keep the comments coming, the feedback. I really appreciate those as well. So until next time, thanks guys.